Army in uproar. Is Taehyung really staying at Jungkook's house secretly? A hint from Jungkook's mother appears before his departure for Switzerland, and HYB immediately takes a surprising action. What is really behind this warmth? Is their friendship still pure, or is there something deeper, something that even the other members don't know? The army cannot remain silent. Comment after comment flooded the community. Hashtags began squirming wildly on social media, and rumors that were previously just whispers now turned into a huge explosion that shook the fandom. Why not? Taehyung, the V of BTS, was allegedly caught staying at Jungkook's house secretly. It's not just empty conjecture, it's backed up by shocking facts directly related to Jungkook's own mother. Then how can something that is supposed to be personal be sniffed by HYB? Who leaked it? And the most suffocating question, what is the true motive of this secret visit? It all started from a coincidence. Or is it really just a coincidence? That day, Jungkook was preparing to travel to Switzerland on a private agenda that was also said to involve a secret project which HYB has yet to confirm. But just before his departure, something unexpected happened. A message from her mother, initially thought to be small talk within the family, had a wider impact than anyone expected. The mother, indirectly, reveals that Jungkook did not sleep alone the night before. And as HYB staff delved into the details, Taehyung's name popped up that night. Jungkook's mother said in a brief communication that was successfully accessed internally, Jungkook, is not alone. Last night, I made 2 servings of meat soup, as usual when there is Taehyung staying over. The words, although simple, are like sparks in the middle of a dry forest. Is it just an old habit that repeats itself? Or does this indicate something more complex and secret? Soon after, HYB's internal report said that staff felt not informed about anyone coming in and out of Jungkook's private home. Security protocols are questionable. Privacy was raised as the main reason. But is it true that HYB only cares about protocol? Or are they actually trying to cover up something bigger, one that, if revealed, could permanently change group dynamics and public opinion? We know that the relationship between Jungkook and Taehyung is not just close. They are a duo that is said to have the best chemistry in the group, both on stage and in everyday life. But even that closeness has long been the subject of speculation, fan theories, and even unstoppable fanfiction. Will this, overnight, incident reburn the embers that have not been extinguished? Some say that Jungkook's house is like a second home for Taehyung. But that night felt different.
Why?
Because Taehyung's arrival happened without official notice to HYB. Usually, all members' interactions, especially those involving their physical presence outside the official schedule, are reported internally. But not this time. Are they hiding something? Or are they already tired of playing by the rules? Internal sources said that since Jin's comeback, BTS's internal dynamics have shifted slightly. Jungkook appears more reserved, while Taehyung actually starts to open up more in interviews, implying the intimacy they've been hiding. As Jin returns from his military service, there is one moment captured on camera. Jungkook and Taehyung stare at each other, but say nothing. Cold?
No.
Too emotional to express. Then, is this related to the sudden visit to Jungkook's house? Some army began to dig. They discovered that the night before Jungkook left for Switzerland, Taehyung disappeared from the public radar. There is no Instagram, no Weverse activity, no sightings. Whereas before, Taehyung was known to be very active, sometimes even too active for the size of an idol with a tight schedule. And now, suddenly it is silent. What were they really talking about that night? Why was Jungkook, who is known to be very secretive about his personal life, suddenly seen carrying a necklace that allegedly belonged to Taehyung when he arrived at the airport heading to Switzerland? Is it just a loan? Or a symbol of something deeper, more personal? The army was divided. Most were moved to see their closeness remain strong despite rumors and increasingly different schedules. But some others actually feel anxious. There were concerns that this would worsen Jungkook and HYB's relationship, especially after reports suggested that internal staff began to question Jungkook's loyalty to the company. Have we ever imagined that friendly relations could become a thread in this industry? Jungkook was asked who was the last person to visit him before he left for Switzerland. In a brief interview, he simply smiled and replied, "Someone who is always there, even when I don't know I need it." A sentence that thrilled and made the public wonder, was it an ordinary statement or a code? And what about Taehyung? He did not remain silent. A few days later, in his very short live broadcast, only 3 minutes and 17 seconds, he played a song almost unknown to the public, a classic instrumental full of somber minor notes, with the caption, "That morning." Is that referring to the morning after he stayed at Jungkook's house? Or is there something else we don't know about? Up to this point, one big question hung over every ARMY's mind. What exactly happened that night at Jungkook's house? When HYB was asked for clarification, they simply replied with the standard statement that a member's private life is a private matter and the company respects those restrictions. But strangely, after the statement was issued, reports emerged that CCTV cameras around Jungkook's house were in the process of updating the security system. Why now? Why after this incident sticking out? Is this a trace deletion? The public is going crazy. Speculation came from all directions. A viral thread on Twitter shows the timeline of their interactions that began to change since the last 2 months. From rarely appearing together, then suddenly coming back intense. From small codes like the emoji they use, to the implied sentences in the songs they sing on the solo stage. The ARMY was like detectives, searching for traces wherever they could. And in the end, we come back to one harsh reality. That honesty sometimes hurts, but obscurity can be more haunting. Is it just about two best friends who long for a long time together? Or is this a sign that there's something they can't openly say? Something that even a company as big as HYB can't protect? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. ARMY will never look at Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship the same way again. And when Jungkook finally returned from Switzerland and was greeted by fans at the airport with a tired but peaceful expression, he said only one sentence. "You know, sometimes home is not a place, but who is waiting for you to come home?" The question now is no longer whether Taehyung actually stayed overnight at Jungkook's house, but what exactly did they share that night, and why did HYB look so agitated about it? However, the mystery does not stop there. After Jungkook's evocative words at the airport, many soldiers felt even more uneasy. Some fans who were present in person at the location claimed to see someone who looked a lot like Taehyung in the same VIP area, wearing a dark hoodie and a thick mask, as if they didn't want to be seen. Is this a coincidence? Or did Taehyung actually come to the airport to take Jungkook away? And if so, why should he hide? Suspicions were heightened when one of the freelance photographers who used to capture idols at the airport uploaded a cryptic story. "Today I saw something I'm not going to publish for their sake." No name, no pictures, just an emotional vibe that instantly made ARMY shudder. Is this about Taehyung? Is there really something going on behind the curtain of Jungkook's departure that has escaped the official cameras? On the other hand, netizens began digging up old uploads from Jungkook's mother. One of his posts last year said that Taehyung was like his own son. "He always comes without permission. This house is also his home," he wrote at the time. But what used to be considered sweet is now precisely the point of fire that ignites suspicion. There is one more surprise. An unnamed BTS staff stylist posted an ambiguous status on his personal account just hours after news of Taehyung's stay began circulating. In the post, she wrote, "You'd be surprised to know who often shares pajamas." Despite not naming names, fans immediately linked it to the hotly discussed event. Why did the phrase appear in the midst of a storm of rumors? Is this code? Or a satire on a fandom deemed too inquisitive? The situation spirals out of control when Taehyung's huge fan site suddenly shuts down his official account without explanation. The fan site is known to be very active, even said to have close connections with management. The loss of the account is like a signal that something is being covered up. Did he receive a warning from HYB? Did he see something that could not be revealed? Even more shocking, when a music reporter from one of South Korea's largest entertainment media outlets wrote a lengthy op-ed about the danger of personal closeness between members not being communicated with the company, many felt that this was a direct allusion to V and Jungkook. The reporter, who previously praised the members' closeness, now writes that some unbridled friendships can actually be time bombs. This sentence immediately became a trending topic among the army. Is this just an opinion? Or is it a subtle warning from industry insiders? Shortly after the opinion article went viral, fans noticed that all live content featuring the intense interactions between Jungkook and Team the past few months. But time never really gives us a break. Days have passed since that moment, but the shadows of Taehyung and Jungkook on the same night, in the same house, continue to haunt the minds of many. No one knows for sure what is being talked about. There are no cameras recording. There were no voice recordings, no traces that could be used as absolute evidence. Only small clues, fragments of signs, and expressions that could not be hidden even if they tried to appear ordinary. But is there really no evidence? Or is there someone who actually witnessed all that? An anonymous account claiming to be a former staffer of HYB's night schedule wrote a suspicious sentence on a secret Korean fandom forum. Many think the night is a secret, but they forget nothing is really a secret if you stay in the system. No further explanation, but the sentence immediately invited thousands of reactions and speculation. Some believe that HYB had internal footage of Jungkook's personal home security device, something set up not for surveillance, but as a safeguard against intruders. But if it's true that HYB has the tape, then why is there no clarification or refutation? Is it precisely because the tape reinforces the conjecture? Some say that Taehyung not only stayed the night, but brought something important. A document, a letter, or an object that has only been owned by the two of them. Among the many theories that have emerged, one of the most viral is the allegation that Taehyung gave Jungkook a box of memories. This theory is based on a live broadcast of Jungkook a few days after returning from Switzerland, in which he was seen placing a small wooden box next to him. The box was never explained, and he never opened it in front of the camera. However, some fans with keen eyes noticed a small letter engraving on the side of the box that read the initials VJK. What's in the box? Why is it kept so close? Is this a symbol of their bond? Or is it farewell message? Even more touching was when during the live, Jungkook read a fan comment asking, "Are you still close to Taehyung?" And for a moment, the smile disappeared. He paused, looked at the screen, then said quietly, "Some things don't need to be explained, because those who understand will still understand." Those words are hurtful. Isn't that like saying that something has changed, but it's too personal to be open? Meanwhile, Taehyung chooses silence 1,000 languages. In his solo comeback promo a few days later, he was even seen wearing a thin silver ring on the ring finger of his right hand, the exact same ring Jungkook had worn last year during the last concert before the group's hiatus. Is this a coincidence? Or is it a sign that despite the distance and time separating, they are still bound by something that only they understand? The army's reaction was increasingly emotional. Many began to make tearful edited videos, compilations of their interactions, with melancholic music in the background. Comments like, "Is this a wordless farewell?" and "Why does this feel like the end?" flooded every post related to V and Jungkook. In fact, at an international fan sign, a fan burst into tears saying to Taehyung, "Please take care of Jungkook, no matter what happens." And Taehyung's response? He just looked down and said, "Always." But not everyone is happy with this proximity. Some hardline fans began to blame HYB for interfering too deeply in the members' personal affairs. There were also those who accused the company of trying to set up a public narrative, even silencing the staff who knew the real details. Some fansite admins admitted to receiving attention messages asking them to be careful in discussing overly personal interactions between the two members. Is this a form of protection? Or is it silencing? One of the most surprising things happened during Taehyung's interview session with the Japanese media. When asked about Jungkook, he replied in a low voice, "He is my home." But sometimes even home can make you feel lost. That sentence left a lot of people speechless. What does that mean? Are their relationships under pressure from the outside? Are they not as free as they used to be? There is speculation that the night at Jungkook's house was the last decision to keep the connection they had been trying to protect from all the hustle and bustle of the industry. That after that night, they promised to no longer show too much of their closeness for the sake of protecting each other. If that is true, How sad this reality is for those who have been supporting the closeness of the two not as a gimmick, but as a sincere and heartwarming relationship. In the midst of a storm of rumors and confusing news, there was a